Imagine this. You work one of the hardest, dirtiest jobs at a luxury resort. You scrub toilets, mop up vomit, deal with things most people couldn't stomach. And then a bartender who pours a drink from a bottle has the nerve to shame you for not tipping. Oh, she messed with the wrong person. And what happened next? Let's just say she got exactly what she deserved. This isn't just about a tip. It's about respect. It's about the invisible people who keep the world running while others take the credit. Every day, she showed up. Every night. She cleaned up after the entitled, the careless, the ones who never even saw her. But tonight was different. Because tonight, the bartender crossed a line. And when you push someone who's already carrying the weight of the world, you better be ready for what comes next. She thought it was just another night, another ignored worker, another unpaid debt. But this time, the universe had other plans. And by the time the sun rose, everyone at the resort would remember the name of the woman they used to overlook. If you've ever been looked down on, disrespected, or guilt-tripped by someone who had no idea what you go through, hit that like button right now. Because today's story, it's about the sweet, petty revenge janitor who refused to be shamed. Subscribe, hit the bell, and let's dive into one of the most satisfying revenge stories you'll hear all week. Our story begins in a high-end resort. Glittering chandeliers, marble floors, guests sipping champagne without a care in the world. But behind the scenes, there's one person keeping it all from falling apart, the janitor. Meet Mark. He wasn't just a janitor. He was a silent force that kept the entire place running. While guests complained about the temperature of their cocktails, Mark was elbow deep in problems no one else would touch. Puke in the employee bathroom? He scrubbed it without a word. Overflowing toilets at 2 a.m.? He unclogged them while the rest of the staff slept. And tips? Forget it. Nobody ever slid $1 to the guy who made sure their luxury experience wasn't a biohazard. But Mark didn't complain. He took pride in his work. He knew his job mattered, even if no one else did. That is, until she decided to test him. Her name was Lisa, bartender. The kind of person who acted like pouring a $20 cocktail made her the hero of the resort. She had a habit of laughing a little too loud at the guest jokes, flashing a smile that never quite reached her eyes. And tips? Oh, she loved to talk about tips. One slow Tuesday night, Mark walked into the bar after his shift, exhausted. All he wanted was a cheap beer and 5 minutes of silence. But Lisa, she had other plans. She slid his drink across the counter with a smirk. Then she pointed slowly at the receipt, at the scribbled note at the bottom. 10 cents? Really? Mark just stared. Because he hadn't left that. Someone else had. But Lisa didn't care. She just wanted an audience. You know, most people tip when someone serves them, she said, loud enough for the stragglers at the bar to hear. Mark didn't move, didn't speak. But inside, something shifted. Because Lisa had just made one fatal mistake. She assumed Mark was the kind of man who would take it. But after years of being invisible, after years of cleaning up the messes of people like her, Mark was done. And what happened next? Well, let's just say Lisa learned a very important lesson about respect. Because when you mock the person who knows every secret of the place you work, when you shame the one person who literally holds the keys to every locked door, every back room, every hidden corner of that resort, you're not just being cruel, you're being stupid. And Mark, he wasn't just a janitor anymore. He was a man with a plan. Here's your triple-length, fully fleshed-out narration script with natural flow and cinematic tension. The resort bar should have been an oasis after Mark's brutal shift. Just a simple counter where overpaid bartenders poured pre-mixed cocktails into glasses. No skill, no flair, just ice and attitude. He could already see her, Jessica, leaning against the back counter scrolling her phone. The way her acrylic nails tapped the screen told him everything. This wasn't a bartender. This was a glorified soda jerk who thought she was mixing craft cocktails in Vegas. House margarita. Mark kept it simple. $9 for tequila that probably came from a hose. Jessica didn't even look up as she grabbed a plastic cup. The pour took exactly 3 seconds. No salt rim, no lime, just golden liquid sloshing into a cup. She slid across the counter, like she was doing him a favor. Mark tapped his card, left the tip line blank. Why would he tip for service that barely qualified as service? That's when Jessica finally looked at him, not with curiosity, with calculation. What department are you in? Her voice carried that fake cheer people use when they're about to be cruel. Mark knew this game. He'd played it for years. Custodial. 2 syllables that usually made people's eyes glaze over. But Jessica, her manicured eyebrows arched like she just won something. Well, she drew the word out, tapping the receipt between them. It's really important to tip. A pause just long enough to be insulting. It goes around, you know? In that moment, Mark saw everything clearly. The way her lip curled when she said custodial. The way her eyes flicked to his work shoes. The unspoken hierarchy in her tone. Like she was some mixology goddess looking down at the help. Jessica had no idea who she was talking to. No concept of the power dynamics she'd just inverted. Because while she was playing bartender for the summer, Mark knew every inch of this resort. Every supply closet. Every maintenance corridor. Every dirty secret. Her smirk faltered when Mark didn't look away. When his voice came out calm but carried like steel. You're right, Jessica. What goes around? He let the words hang in the suddenly charged air. Comes around. The other staff had gone quiet. Even the blender stopped whirring. Because everyone except Jessica understood one fundamental truth about resort life. Never anger the custodial staff. Especially not this one. Not Mark. Because while Jessica thought this was about tipping etiquette, Mark already knew exactly how this would end. And the beautiful part? She'd be the one cleaning up the mess. Mark's hands clenched. His face burned. This woman, who poured a drink from a bottle, had the audacity to shame him? The guy who cleaned up human waste daily? The guy who never got tips? That's when he made a decision. If she wanted a tip so badly, he'd give her one. Later that day, Mark returned. Same bar, same bartender, same drink. But this time, when Jessica handed him the receipt, he left her something special. 10 cents. A single dime. Not out of malice, but as a message. The look on her face? Priceless. She wanted a tip? Fine, but it would be on his terms. From that day on, Jessica avoided him. No more smug comments. No more fake smiles. Just cold, silent bitterness. And Mark? He walked taller. His shoulders weren't hunched anymore. His steps had a new confidence. Because he proved something, not just to her, but to himself. Respect wasn't something you begged for. It was something you took. And he'd taken his, 1 dime at a time. You don't get to disrespect the people who keep your world clean. The ones who scrub the floors, empty the trash, and wipe away the messes no one else wants to touch. And if you do, well, you might just get 10 cents worth of karma. Was it petty? Maybe. But sometimes the smallest act of defiance carried the loudest message. It wasn't about the money. It was about the principle. A reminder that no one gets to make you feel small unless you let them. Mark could have yelled. He could have made a scene. But silence was sharper. A single dime spoke louder than any insult. So the next time someone looks down on you, whether the bartender, a boss, or some smug stranger, remember Mark. Remember that justice doesn't always come in big, dramatic moments. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's subtle. Sometimes it's just a dime on a counter. If this story gave you that sweet, sweet justice dopamine hit, smash that like button. Let us know in the comments. What's the pettiest revenge you've ever pulled? Ever left a single penny as a tip? Glared at someone who deserved it? We want to hear your stories. And of course, subscribe for more tales where the underdog wins, where the little guy gets the last laugh. Because sometimes the best victories are the small ones. Until next time, stay petty.